नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Reading from Canto 10, Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 70, verses from 31 to 38. I think so. So, reading the Sanskrit first and then reading all the translations together later. दूतौवाच इति मागधसमृद्धा भवद्दर्शनकाङ्क्षिणा प्रपन्नापादमूलं ते दीनानां संविधीयताम्। श्रीशुकौवाच राजदूते ब्रुवत्येवं देवर्षिपरमद्युतिः बिभ्रत्पिङ्गजता भारं प्रादुरासीद्यतारवि। तं दृष्ट्वा भगवान् कृष्ण सर्वलोकेश्वरेश्वर ववन्द उथितशीर्ष्णा ससव्यासानुगो मुदा सभाजयित्वा विधिवत् कृतासनपरिग्रहं बभाषे सुनृतैर्वाक्यैः श्रद्धया तर्पयन् मुनिम्। अपि स्विद्दद्य लोकानां त्रयाणामकुतो वयं ननु भूयान् भगवतो लोकान् पर्ययतो गुणः। न हि ते अविदितं किञ्चिल्लोकेषु ईश्वरकर्तृषु अर्थप्रच्छामहे युष्मान् पाण्डवानां चिकीर्षिताम्। श्रीनारद उवाच दृष्टा मया ते बहुशो दुरत्यया माया विभो विश्वसृजश्च मायिन भूतेषु भूमं शरतस्वशक्तिभिर्वह्नेरिव चन्नरुचो न मेऽद्भुतम्। तवेहितं कोऽर्हति साधु वेदितुं स्वमाययेदं सृजतो नियच्छतः। यद्विद्यमानात्मना यद्विद्यमानात्मतया प्रभाषते तस्मै नमस्ते स्वविलक्षणात्मने। Translation and purport by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. And translation. The messenger continued, "This is the message of the kings imprisoned by Jarasandha, who all hanker for your audience. Having surrendered to your feet, please bestow good fortune on these poor souls." Shukadeva Goswami said, when the king's messenger had thus spoken, the sage of the demigods Narada suddenly appeared, bearing a mass of golden matted locks on his head. The supremely effulgent sage entered like a brilliant sun. Lord Krishna is the worshipable master of even planetary rulers like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Yet, as soon as he saw that Narada Muni had arrived, he joyfully stood up along with his ministers and secretaries to receive the great sage and offer his respectful obeisances by bowing his head. After Narada had accepted the seat offered to him, Lord Krishna honored the sage according to scriptural injunctions and, gratifying him with his reverence, spoke the following truthful and pleasing words. Lord Krishna said, "It is certain that today the three worlds have attained freedom from all fear, for that is the influence of such a great personality as you, who travel at will throughout all the worlds. There is nothing unknown to you within God's creation. Therefore, please tell us what the Pandavas intend to do." Shri Narada said, I have seen many times the insurmountable power of your Maya, O Almighty One, by which you bewilder even the creator of the universe, Brahma. O all-encompassing Lord, it does not surprise me that you disguise yourself by your own energies while moving among the created beings, as a fire covers its own light with smoke. Purport: when Lord Krishna questioned Narada Muni about the intentions of the Pandavas, the sage replied that the Lord is himself all powerful and all knowing, even to the extent that he can bewilder the great creator of the universe, Brahma. Narada understood that Lord Krishna desired to kill Jarasandha and was thus beginning to arrange for this pastime by inquiring from Narada about the Pandavas' intentions. Understanding the Lord's own intention, Narada was not astonished when Lord Krishna humbly requested information from him. Who can properly understand your purpose? With your material energy, you expand and also withdraw this creation, which thus appears to have substantial existence. Obeisance to you whose transcendental position is inconceivable. Srila Prabhupada explains Narada's realization as follows: my dear Lord, by your inconceivable potencies, you create this cosmic manifestation, maintain it, and again dissolve it. It's by dint of your inconceivable potency that this material world, although a shadow representation of the spiritual world, appears to be factual. No one can understand what you plan to do in the future. Your transcendental position is always inconceivable to everyone. As far as I am concerned, I can simply offer my respectful obeisances unto you again and again. The word Swavilakshana Atmane also indicates that Lord Krishna has his own unique nature and characteristics. No one is equal to or greater than God. Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Thank you everyone for this opportunity to speak on the Srimad Bhagavatam. So grateful to you all for all your presence. Beg your blessings, Adi Pushpavan, everybody, so that I can say something that is purifying to the heart and also inspiring and pleasing to Krishna. So here we are seeing how Narada Muni is suddenly appearing in on the scene and inquiring, and Krishna is receiving him according to the etiquette, and also is inquiring from Narada Muni about Pandava's intentions. What are they planning to do? And Narada Muni, understanding Krishna's position, at the same time also fulfilling the request of Krishna, he will begin to answer after glorifying Krishna with the full idea that who Krishna is, and still understanding that he is playing the role and it's like a pastime. So despite knowing everything, he is requesting him or he is asking him. So with full knowledge, he glorifies Krishna first, his position, and then in the following verses, we will see that how he explains the intention of Pandavas. So in the 10th canto, 7th chapter, Shukadeva Goswami says, actually Parikshit Maharaj says, that yena avatarena Bhagavan Haririshwaraha karoti karna ramyani manogyani chanaha prabho. That he says that there are so many incarnations of the Supreme Lord. Yena yena avatarena Bhagavan Hari Rishwara. The Supreme Lord Hari has taken innumerable number of avatars, like incarnations. What is the main reason for Krishna's appearance or his appearance of his various incarnations? He says, Karoti Karna Ramyani. Everybody is interested in hearing something sweet, right? Like there's so much of the music industry thrives on this factor that people want to hear something pleasing to the ears. So Karoti Karna Ramyani. So he is appearing in various incarnations to give us subject matter which is actually sweet to hear. And Manogyani Chanaha Prabhu, that it is pleasing to the mind. That the mind is distressed so much. Sukhaya karmani karoti loke, natait sukham va nyaduparamam va, vindet bhuyat tatev dukkam, yadatra yuktam bhagavan vadennaha. So sukhaya karmani, that the living entities are engaged in material activities for the sake of achieving happiness. Sukhaya karmani, they do things for the sake of attaining happiness. But what they get is not forget about happiness. They don't even get some cessation from misery. So life is kind of punctuated with happiness. But what is in between the punctuations is all like not so happy. So that's what here Vidura says to Maitreya Muni, that so just for the sake of pleasing the living entities, to create happiness, that the Lord actually speaks Bhagavatam, that the Lord actually performs pastimes so that the conditioned living entities can discuss the pastimes of the Lord and find something pleasurable in this world. Otherwise, there is nothing else which can give happiness in this world. So Manogyani Chanaha Prabhu means something pleasing to the mind, sweet to hear and pleasing to the mind. That is the purpose. That is one of the purposes of the Lord's appearance. And it is recorded in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that various pastimes. So Parikshit Maharaj goes on to say that Yashrinvato apaitaratir vitrishna satvam cha shuddhyatta chirena pumsa bhaktir harau tat purushe cha sakyam tadevaharam vadamanyase chet. So he says there are 5 effects of hearing Krishna Katha regularly. So what are the 5 effects of hearing Krishna Katha regularly? That is Yashrinvato, if somebody hears regularly. Apaiti, the nature of the conditioned living entities, it has no interest in Krishna Katha. Like we all know, Bhagavatam is amazing, is the Rasamalayam, is the abode of sweetness, and Krishna's pastimes are like candy. And however, as Rupa Goswami says, because we have the jaundice of ignorance, the very same sweet candy tastes very bitter. Despite once in a while, occasionally experiencing its sweetness in the presence of great exalted devotees, we don't voluntarily turn to it all the time when we are looking for happiness. We don't think, oh, okay, I'm feeling unhappy, let me turn the pages of Bhagavatam, I can find happiness. That conviction is not there in the conditioned living entity, in a practicing devotee. So to the extent the conviction that Bhagavatam, if I turn to the pages of Bhagavatam and if I remember Krishna, that is actually the medicine to my soul. So that the cure for my soul is in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam by reading Krishna's pastimes. The knowledge is one thing, but to really be able to apply it in daily life is not possible for a conditioned living entity easily. So that is why here Krishna, Parikshit Maharaj is saying, by regularly hearing Krishna Katha, what happens? Apaiti means the disinterest in hearing about Krishna goes away gradually. Because there is so much disinterest about hearing Krishna voluntarily. So that disinterest reduces by hearing about Krishna more and more. And then there is Aratir Vitrishna. There is so much, so much other desires. We don't have desire for Krishna. That means that space is taken over by desires for other things. So those things actually reduce by hearing about Krishna. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Because the more one does the service to Srimad Bhagavatam, both the book Bhagavatam and the person Bhagavatam, what is troublesome to the heart is almost completely removed from the heart. So aratir vitrishna, sattvam cha shuddhya tachirena pumsa, that heart becomes actually purified. So sattvam ta shuddhya, sattvam means here means existence. One's existence actually becomes purified by hearing about Krishna regularly. Bhaktir harautat purushe cha sakyam. We also develop friendship with other devotees. We all want to have friends in life. So, by hearing about Krishna and discussing about Krishna in the association of like minded individuals regularly, Bhaktir Harautat Purushecha Sakyam, that one actually develops friendship with devotees. So, generally, devotees, they want to discuss everything about what's happening in their personal life when they come together, which is very important. Which is also like Rupa Goswami says that we discuss like guhyam, like guhyam akyati pruchati. He says like confidential things we exchange. It's not just about scriptural; it's also about one's personal life. However, most of the times, devotees when they come together, they somehow it's a taboo to actually just discuss about Krishna. Okay, what did you read? How is your chanting going on? We need some kind of level of relationship for that to ask those questions, because that is also very personal. Not everybody wants to explain all their struggles to everybody else. So when we come closer, it becomes easier for us to also discuss about our personal struggles in spiritual life. So that is one important need, that we make friendships within devotional service. It's a very not so easy thing to may find closer friendship within devotees, but that is the safety net against Maya for a conditioned soul. That having friendship within devotees, friendship with devotees to whom we could turn and both explain our difficulties and hear encouragement and also discuss Krishna. We will not have any reservations to open up a page of Bhagavatam and say, see how wonderful is Krishna, how amazing Krishna is that he is doing this, or so in that way, relishing in that association. So that is another by regularly hearing Krishna Katha together, like this morning Bhagavatam class, the association has a certain sweetness because you're all hearing Bhagavatam daily together. So that creates relationships. Thanks to Anand Bihari Prabhu for his engaging, like what do you call, like engaging way of organizing this class and leading this class and bringing in speakers and then guiding everybody. So it creates sweetness. So bhaktir harautat purushecha sakyam, that friendships develop. Tadeva haram vadamanya chet, and love for actually devotion becomes manifested. Bhaktir. So above all of these things, the devotion to Krishna actually becomes manifested by regularly hearing Krishna Katha. So these are the 5 effects of hearing Krishna Katha that Parikshit Maharaj is saying, that disinterest in Krishna Katha goes away. Dirty things in the mind and heart and other desires, they go away. Heart becomes purified. Devotion becomes manifested. And friendship and love for other devotees appears in the heart. And this is one of the most, these are the important things that we are all hankering as practicing devotees. And that is possible by regularly hearing Krishna Katha. And this is one way we could actually check our spiritual advancement also. When my mind is distracted, when I don't feel like feel very happy, and when I want to feel distracted, when I want to turn towards distractions, can I actually pick up a book of Bhagavatam and then turn to its pages and read something about Krishna or his incarnations or the life of different devotees? And can I actually pacify my mind? Can I actually find satisfaction in there? Can I derive sweetness in there? So it is very easy to actually speak, but it is not so easy to actually implement it in daily life. So if we could train ourselves to actually turn to the pages of Bhagavatam, read and feel pacified. And also the more we read and the more we take shelter of Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam will reveal its sweetness to us, because it's not a mental exercise that I can read and I will be able to derive satisfaction. It's not a mental thing. It's also a revelation. It's a two-way relationship, that I turn to Srimad Bhagavatam, and Srimad Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna, that Krishna, in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, can reveal himself to me. Then I start reading between the lines, start reading between the words, and then the reality of Krishna's sweetness and greatness actually manifests in my heart through the surrender. So Krishna says, Ata Shri, anybody knows that verse? Ata Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahyam indriyai sevon mukhehi jihvadav swayam eva spuratyadaha. So therefore, uh, Shri Krishna's name, pastimes, and glories and form, they are all cannot be grabbed by the sensory sense or our sense instruments, just by the indriya, just through the senses. However, if Krishna reveals, it will that then only it's possible for the sense to actually experience Krishna fully. So for that begins with Sevon Mukhehi Jihvadav. So the service begins with the tongue. So if we could actually turn to Krishna in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam through our daily life when things are not so making sense, or we feel unhappy, or we feel happy, or we don't know, we feel confused. If we could turn as a medicine with prayer to the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam and discuss, oh wow, how great Krishna is, that he knows everything. He knows everything. Still, he is asking Narada Muni, okay, what is the plan of intentions of my devotees, Pandavas? And he is eager to know what is the plan, what is the desires of his devotees, and he wants to adjust his own plans according to the plans of his devotees. And his devotees are wanting, making plans to please Krishna, and Krishna is looking out for the plans of his devotees and see how he can adjust his plans according to the plans of his devotees. So it is a reciprocal relationship, and we see that, and we get inspiration that Srila Prabhupada, his plan was following the instructions of his spiritual master, that his spiritual master wanted him to go to the West and preach. So he was making plans, how I can go to the West. And Krishna is making plans in so many ways. The whole movement of the hippies and the US just opening up in the 1964, 65, that other people could come in very easily. So all these things are external arrangements. However, Krishna was bringing in all these pieces of puzzle at the right time, at the right place for Srila Prabhupada to actually bring the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the Western world. So Krishna and his pure devotees, their plans are very together. Like they both plan, and Krishna knows each other's plans, and accordingly, and the devotee also understands what is Krishna's desire. In that way, their cooperation, they actually save innumerable conditioned souls. The plan of a pure devotee and the plan of Krishna is nothing but saving conditioned souls. The purpose of Krishna and the purpose of the pure devotees is to help the suffering conditioned souls in this world to come close to Krishna. So here we have something to meditate, that Krishna says that it is certain, he is telling to Narada Muni, it is certain that today the three worlds have attained freedom from all fear. For that is the influence of such a great personality as you, who travel at will throughout all the worlds. So this very much actually applies to Srila Prabhupada also. So Srila Prabhupada is called as Abhaya Charana Aravinda. He has taken shelter at the Abhaya Charan. He has taken shelter at the lotus feet, which actually uh, gives fearlessness. So by through chanting Hare Krishna and spreading the holy names of Krishna throughout the world, he has actually freed the world from fear, if only we could take shelter of his instructions. So that is the sign of great soul. So once a spiritual master was walking with his disciple, and there was a madman in the street, and the madman was having was kind of, you walk out in the streets of New York City sometimes. Like I was walking out with a devotee yesterday, and then he said, oh, it's so late, I hope it's safe for you to walk back alone. I said, it's never safe in the New York City. It's never safe. That's the reality of it. And I was walking down, and I saw somebody who was uh, externally, who was not in the right shape, and was like kind of intimidating everyone in the street. And suddenly my reaction was, I was feeling fearful. Oh my God, I just need to walk away and then save, like cross the road or something like that. I did do that, but I was thinking in my heart, so where is this fear coming from? So this fear is coming from that I'm this body, I need to protect this body. But actually, and then I was remembering how the Bhagavatam verse says, Bhayam dvitiya abhiniveshatah, means the moment we think I am this body, the moment there is an attachment to the bodily consciousness, I'm not saying we should not be practical, but at the same time, the reality is twofold. So I need to actually be like do things practically safe. At the same time, I also need to understand there is fear in the heart, which is coming from the bodily consciousness. So this disciple was actually fearing and hiding behind the spiritual teacher. And instead of protecting the spiritual teacher, and the madman actually went away, and then the spiritual teacher was asking the same question, where do you think this fear is coming from? So similarly, we all go through fear in various ways. But if we look into it, it's all arising somewhere on the level of bodily connection. However, a sadhu like Narada Muni, he has the ability to actually award fearlessness to anyone in this world, because their great influence is that they introduce us to Krishna. They introduce us to who we are really, that we are not this body, we are a spirit soul. Through that and our connection with Krishna, they're not just going to say you are a spirit soul and leave it at that, but they also say, what is your ultimate position as a spirit soul is your connection with Krishna. So they introduce ourselves to ourselves. At the same time, they also introduce Krishna to us, in that way, awarding fearlessness. And so that is what Vidura also says to Maitreya Muni, that all these great souls, they actually travel around the world for the sake of awarding fearlessness to the conditioned souls. I'm just not able to recollect the first line of the verse, but he does say that same thing. It's a famous verse. And with that, I request any other uh, reflections, thoughts that anybody would like to offer. Like Adi Pushpa, we would like to start in the temple room in person.
All right, Hare Krishna, wonderful class and wonderful example that we all encounter again and again of the potential of being fearful. And Narada Muni is removing the fear by giving knowledge, because we're afraid of what we don't understand and what we can't control. And exactly this example, you were on the street and there was someone out of control, the mind is disturbed, they're potentially aggressive, people are crossing the street and running away. I've had that experience so many times, either on the subway or directly on the street. And therefore, we carry with us some prasadam. And what is my response to this person? You know, how can we give them? And I've told this before, just going from right out here, going to 3rd Street, um, there was a man on the street screaming and yelling, and everyone was crossing the street to get away from him. And his body was so dirty, and he was matted hair and, filthy, bare feet, and, just so disturbed and unhappy. And I just I did what everybody did. I went around and I went over to 3rd Street, and I was just setting out the breakfast to some guests there. And Krishna would not let me. He said, what about that guy? I was like, well, I prayed for him when I went by. And I said, okay. So we had these donuts, triple chocolate. You've seen those baked donuts, not the fried ones, the triple chocolate baked donuts. So I took a triple chocolate baked donut, put it in a napkin, went back out, went down the street. At that point, he was throwing a chair out on First Avenue, and he was yelling and screaming. And I was going near him. I was going to give him the donut, and I think maybe I'll just throw it at him. I didn't want to go anywhere near him. And, sir, hello, he was just yelling and screaming. I go right up to him and said, "Look, this is for you." And he took the donut and he said, thank you very much, And he sat down on the curb and he was taking prasadam. And so it's like, what do you do? I mean, sometimes they're just so fallen. There's no preaching, anything, but usually people won't argue with some prasadam. And I told the story also. One time I was on the subway and this woman came into the car when the subway stopped and she was yelling and screaming in Spanish. I don't know what she was saying. And then she said in English, "And I hate white men." And I was like, oh, God. And I looked up and down the car, and there was nobody with a white body except me, And she came right over to where I was, and she leaned over me, and I was like, oh, my God. And she pulled out this big knife. You've seen this serrated kitchen knives, like the really sharp knife. She pulled out this knife, and I was thinking, I'm going to slide down the seat and kick her with both feet, I was scared to death, And then she took the knife and she put it on her own throat. And she was going like this, and I could see a little bit of blood coming. She was drawing the knife across her throat. I was like, oh, Krishna. At first I said to her, I'm not white. I'm kind of like light brown. See, this is white, I was trying to like tell her I'm not a white man, She didn't laugh. So fortunately, Evangel had given me, which I always carry on the subway, a little packet of prasadam in a plastic bag. And before I didn't kick her in the face. I said, "Oh, this is for you." That's my line. Not, "Do you want some?" This is for you. And she put the knife back and she took out the prasadam. And all of a sudden the subway stopped and everybody off the train. This train is out of service. Everybody, apparently they got some announcement from the previous station that she was totally wild. And everybody got off the train, hundreds of people, except the lady. I got off the train. Oh boy. Then all of a sudden she came off the train and everybody back on the train. Everybody got back on. The lady was on the platform and the police came. And as the train was pulling out, I saw the police were taking her away. She was taking the prasadam, I mean, what do you do? What do you say? What can, some people won't even take prasadam, they're so fallen. But we have to think not just what should I do to get out of here, but what about that person? What about the remedy? What about the care? What about the love? Because they're lost and they're alone and they're crazy and they're bewildered and they're agitated and they're confused and they're, so fallen. But we try to at least give them prasadam. Because Prabhupada said, an intelligent person will come to Krishna consciousness by an intellectual presentation. Somebody less intelligent, they'll come when they see a big temple and a big program and lots of fanfare. But even though and then lower than that, give them prasad. And we're in the stage now where many people are very confused and unreachable. So we're trying to give them the fact that we just had this little girl, I told this the other day, little Korean girl. One of the neighbors was helping with prasadam. Can I bring my daughter? I said, no, don't bring her. Tell her what we're doing, tell her why we're doing it, and invite her and see if she chooses to come. So he brought this little girl, she's about this big, her name is Madison. And she came out once and she was helping, she came out again. And I said to her, Madison, why do you come out here? She put her hands on her hips and said, we're trying to show people that God loves them. I couldn't believe it. She was preaching to me. We're trying to show people that God loves them. So, Prabhupada told me, go to the future and show the people there that God loves them. Anyway, all glories to Prabhupada.
You want to say something? Jeffrey Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for this class. I think it's so beautiful what Adi was just speaking about and what you were were saying earlier about kind of sharing our hearts between devotees, there is this common thread between what both of you have spoken to, is this initial connection. If a person's a wild person on the street, obviously you're not going to be able to sit down and have a cogent conversation with them at that point, but offering them prasadam can initiate that connection. Or once maybe a little bit further along the timeline, you're able to sit down and have a cogent conversation with someone about Krishna. The prerequisite for that sharing is to have that connection and that sort of level of comfort to settle into a sweet conversation or a sweet relationship with another person. I just appreciate so much what you both have expressed about the humanity of our devotion and the practical kind of needs that we have as humans. Because regardless of whether we are or are not this body, we're still kind of living in it. And so I appreciate you for bringing that to the forefront, and that we can't just sit down after Bhagavat Shravanam and speak to somebody we don't know about our deepest spiritual realizations or questions, and that we should give ourselves the leeway to not be upset or somehow self-deprecating about that need to have that connection. So thank you very much. Very, very beautiful. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, this is so beautiful that what Adi Pushpa was saying. I really appreciated that. Says like we are here to show that God loves other people, and also while showing that, we also continuously realize that God loves us also. So it's something that I can surely take away from what Adi Pushpa shared. Thank you, Jeffrey Prabhu. And Bhima Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Haribo. I can't even speak. Haribo.
Haribo? What is that?
Haribo. Haribo boo. Hey boo boo. Yogi Berra. Yeah, just what a wonderful when a class turns into speaking about how do we share the love. Just an example here, and I got to make this quick. Let me see, what do we got here? I got 5 minutes. Yesterday I was unloading my van, which had over 1,000 shirts, and on those shirts in multicolors within a heart is printed, "All you need is love." And we give those out to our guests, and also Adi gives them out to all the volunteers at the food program. And people love it because it has like a 60s style. Nityananda Chandra did the design. It just turned out really nice, and everybody loves it. And it has all over it all the makings of, all the URLs to go to the Bhakti Center, Veda base, Prabhupada lectures, etc. So that being said, I had this van. Das was running up and down he was upstairs on the second floor, and I was sitting there with the van open, getting ready to bring these into the basement. And meanwhile, across the one store over, 7-Eleven, there's, a group of 5 or 6 very drunken or drugged out people that we always see, souls, distraught souls, who congregate there, the street people. And, they always, say, "Can I give you some help?" or something like that, being that, that's the best way to get a little tip or a little money or something like that. And they were arguing at that time. The mood amongst them, they were fighting over something. It was pretty bad. All 5 of them were like yelling at each other and stuff. And then all of a sudden, out of the second floor, down the stairs comes Das. We had just been at Domi's program where there was a prasadam distribution, and a sannyasi there, Guru Dhanadhar Swami, who had gave a wonderful lecture on the love of Radharani, and the fact that Radharani is actually the form. She's actually the form of love. Like, we speak of love, and it's this energy, but in the spiritual world, these energies, the love, the conjugal love, the parental love, the rasa of friendship, they actually take the form when it's perfected. It takes a form, and that form, of course, has two things, which is ladini, which is pleasure, of course, because that's what Krishna is after, and then, of course, that love takes the form of beauty. And he was explaining that. It was just a wonderful thing, and of course, all the people that were in the lecture, especially the young ladies that were there, you could tell they were just mesmerized by this idea that God isn't a judging person, that heaven is a place where love has a form. It actually takes a form of beauty and pleasure. So, anyways, out of the second floor comes Das, and he's got he's got salad on plates, and he starts handing it out to these homeless people. And just like what Adi said, he doesn't say, "Do you want some?" He just puts it in their hands, and they stop arguing, and they just start eating the lettuce. And then Das comes waddling over to me and says, "Okay, let's get these shirts down there." So we're unloading them. There's like a dozen boxes up and down the stairs. Next thing you know, one of the drunken guys comes over and says, "Oh, let me help. Let's do a fireman's type of thing. You hand the box to me, I'll hand it to the other guy, and he'll hand it to Das, who goes down into the basement." So the next thing you know, they were doing service, and the mood had gone from this drunken debacle of people bitterly, and I was sitting there watching them. Here I was, a van full of shirts that say "All you need is love," and I wasn't doing anything. I was watching them saying, "Oh, how miserable it must be to be constantly intoxicated on that level, and to be miserable and bitter, and oh, they must have had a horrible upbringing, and they can barely stagger." And I was just sitting there doing that. Meanwhile, Das come down and just handed them prasad, and their mood, they just stopped arguing. And the next thing you know, they were helping with service. So we never can forget that mystical connection that Prabhupada has allowed us to become a part of, that protocol of just reach out with a little prasad. No one will ever deny some prasad. And that the prasad being mercy. And that, of course, as Jeff Ackler said, that allows us to at least be there. There's that connection. I had a connection via prasad with Radhanath Maharaj for a year, every Wednesday and Sunday, before I ever even thought of inculcating the philosophy within me. I kept it at arm's length. So prasadam was the binding factor. So this is a very, as Prabhupada said, it's simple for the simple and complicated for the complicated. All you need is love. And the quickest way to show love is to share some prasad. Hare Krishna.
All you need is Das.
Service.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for sharing. Anybody else? Ananda Bihari, Prabhu?
Gaur Prabhu, is there a character in the Bhagavatam or maybe Chaitanya Charitamrita who represents the quality that Adipurusha Prabhu described, going out and extending to the most fallen?
Lord Nityananda, as well as Haridas Thakur, Advaita Acharya, all of, to some extent, all of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates, but specifically was embodied by Sri Nityananda Prabhu, that he went and extended his mercy to Jagai and Madai. And we always glorify, we say Dayal Nitai. We call Nityananda Prabhu as the most merciful because he extends his mercy to even the most fallen. And that is why they have come in the age of Kali, both the brothers, Nitai and Chaitanya, Nitai Gauranga.
Thank you. Yeah, Lord Nityananda Prabhu is an avadut, just like Adipurusha Prabhu, right? He's beyond rules and regulations, in a good sense, in a transcendental sense of the word. Krishna Kumari, you had your hand up briefly.
Hare Krishna. I just wanted to echo what Prashant was writing, that and what Gaura Sharana Prabhu had stated, just breaking up the monotony, like when your mind is going somewhere and you have some lower habits, it's pretty powerful to think you're going to turn to Krishna. So I was thinking about putting some cards with Bhagavad Gita verses in my kitchen. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I'm gonna put one on my phone screen. So that's where destruction is coming from. All right, darshan time. Put on your best look. Stand up. Turn on your camera. If you're sitting at the desk, you can get down on your knees. That also counts. If you're lying in bed, just turn over. You'll be a dandavat. Gaur Sharan Prabhu, please unmute if you can hear us. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Okay. Welcome to the Afterglow. Let's do a brief Afterglow. Monday morning Afterglow. Gaur Sharan Prabhu, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, William Prabhu, what do you have to say, please?
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for this wonderful class. what I had a reflection. Back when I was working for an organization, we were trying to bring crisis intervention teams to New York City. And these crisis intervention teams were a social worker with the police who would actually help those with mental health conditions. And the project was a man called Stephen Cremando, was an FBI former FBI agent, and we were trying to bring that to New York City. What I'm trying to get to is that we have Krishna consciousness, and it's so wonderful that Krishna is with us, and Krishna is helping us to speak to individuals in mental health crisis. You know, even I was reading a lecture that Prabhupada's his child, he even, you know, he even brought his child to a psychiatrist. And I didn't know that. I didn't know. Prabhupada was very, very during the lecture that I was listening to about what is Prabhupada's lecture on people with mental health conditions. Beautiful lectures I was just listening to. So I worked for this organization for 8 years, helping people with mental health conditions. And I just got to say that, you know, it's a wonderful feeling to be connected to a movement, the Hare Krishna movement, that, you know, we're helping people with mental health conditions. We're helping people. You know, we're not just saying we're going to help you, we're doing it. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, William Prabhu. I'm thinking if I go into a mental crisis and then Adipurusha Prabhu shows up at my door with a little bag of prasadam, what a nice thing. We should have those teams too. And yeah, we're all in that situation, and Prabhupada is in our life. Prabhupada Srimad Bhagavatam is the intervention. I was thinking about Prashant Prabhu's question, how to get into a good habit. And what came to mind is that once your cup is full, it's very hard to fill it up with something good. So first, the bad habits must go or be broken. And what helps with breaking a bad habit is, you know, it's an external thing, but it works. When you change your circumstances, like get out of town and then start your habit there, and then you go back to your ordinary circumstances, and you'll be able to continue with that good habit, or continue with abstaining from the bad habit. Changing circumstances, some going on the trip, going to New Vrindavan, going to a festival, that's a good opportunity to start something good and give up something that's not beneficial. We'll tell Prashant. We'll tell him later. I don't think he's on this call. Probably went to work. Okay, Venetia has her hand up.
Oh, actually, my response was for Prashant. I can let him know that it used to be at work that I would have, you know, that there's that very evil news feed that comes either through Microsoft or Apple that just has, you know, the latest politics and news and things like that. And I would find myself in meetings or between things kind of going to this cesspool of Maya, just in that very state that Gaur Sharan was talking about, where your mind just needs some distraction. And so I've started to just have the database open as a tab on my computer at work, especially with a verse that resonates with me, and then just not going in those moments, even if they're just moments, not going to that news feed and just going to the verse, and just even if I'm reading like a sentence, it just, you know, it starts building that muscle. So like you're saying, just get the cesspool out and get the good stuff in, just physically even. It's just practical.
Sometimes it's just something physical. Something
physical,
practical.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Prabhupada memories is a good thing.
Yes.
To play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Also,
Vanisha.
Gaur Sharan on YouTube Shorts has little shorts of Prabhupada lectures that are like a minute or something like that. If you look for
Yeah.
Prabhupada shorts, those are wonderful, by our very own Gaur Sharan. They have a lot of followers on YouTube.
Really?
They will.
Can you put
Yeah.
that in the WhatsApp group?
Yeah, we'll do.
I didn't know
Right.
Guru Sharan was an influencer.
Yes, he's
Wow.
he's an influencer.
Cool. Good to know. Well, we'll boost him.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Venetia. Very helpful. Anyone wants to speak? Anyone wants to say anything? Open mic? Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your association. It was very nice spending this morning hour with you. Have a wonderful Monday. Offer it to Krishna. Give Krishna to everyone you meet, anywhere you go. And Prabhupada will be very happy.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Isaiah. Thank you. Perfect finish. Perfect